Please like the video and subscribe. Hope you enjoy it. Okay, let's go. With the recent release of PS5 Spider-Man 2, it got me thinking about Tom Holland's next Spider-Man trilogy. Then I began to think, what exactly would it look like? What characters would appear? And what more could Marvel do with Spider-Man? I mean, he's literally been through everything. With filming rumored to begin in late 2024, I wanted to make some of my own predictions as to what Spider-Man 4 could look like. With the current state of the MCU, this movie can actually save it. I mean, come on, it's Spider-Man. Who doesn't love him? So I'm going to be going over the potential story, characters, villains, and how it could set up the future for Spider-Man in the MCU. Let's begin. Okay, I think that Marvel will stop with the word home played into the title. You know, Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home. So instead, the title would be The Spectacular Spider-Man. Since words like amazing, ultimate, and spectacular are all closely related to each other, it makes sense. So for the rest of the trilogy, it would be the same word, spectacular. This would be the movie where we are introduced to Miles Morales. Now here's where people are going to have mixed debate about this. Who will play him in the live action version? Well, personally, I would like it to be Najee Jeter. He absolutely kills it as Miles in the PlayStation games, Spider-Man 2, and in his own game. I think he best resembles Miles, but I also really like Shamik Moore in the Spider-Verse movies, so either one of them would be really cool. And before anyone says they're too old, Tom Holland was 24 playing a 16-year-old, so let me know down below, who would be your perfect live action Miles Morales? I also think Daredevil should be a part of this movie, helping both Spider-Men fight evil. His seriousness and both Spider-Man's sense of humor would go extremely well together. Plus, Charlie Cox plays the character very well, having a sense of wit. I'm a huge fan of Daredevil, I love the Netflix series, his appearance in She-Hulk was very cool. We would also see the return of Ned and MJ. Remember at the end of No Way Home, they forgot who Peter was, but there was that little look in MJ's eyes as if she had recognition of him. I'll explain how they would fit in the story a little later. Let's switch things over to the villains of the film. Perhaps the biggest and most brutal villain on the streets right now is Kingpin, who is confirmed to come out in Echo and Daredevil Born Again. He would be the main villain in this film, and at his aid would be Scorpion, who in my opinion, and a lot of other people's, is that Michael Mando was just left in the dark. Man, he's such a great actor, so I hope they use him for the next film, because if not, that'd be such a letdown. Also, I know Vulture is now in the Sonyverse, but come on, you know Marvel would use him way better than Sony ever could. Just look at Morbius. I hope somehow Vulture returns in the MCU, because if he doesn't, then once again, that's a waste of an actor and a character. I would love for him to come out in the next Spider-Man film, but most likely not, maybe in the future, who knows. Finally, Prowler, played by Donald Glover, who made a cameo in Across the Spider-Verse, and some people say that he isn't from our MCU, while others say that he is. Regardless, in this film, he would be Prowler, a villain at first. More on that in a little bit. Okay, we got the heroes and villains, let's get to the story. As for the story itself, it picks up where No Way Home ended. We see Peter now living all by himself in his apartment, responding to crimes committed by low-life thugs. On one call he responds, he sees another Spider-Man at the scene. It's Miles. Peter is shocked. He meets him, and both of them immediately hit it off. Miles explains how he was bitten by a spider not too long ago. Peter becomes happy because he's not alone anymore. But instead of Peter having to mentor Miles like you've always seen, this Miles has adopted very quickly into the role. In fact, even faster than Peter ever did. According to Marvel, they want Miles to be on the same level as Peter, which I think is cool because it skips the whole training and learning montage that Miles always has to do. As the two work together, they find out a bigger conspiracy is at hand, and at the head of it is Kingpin, who is still angry that Maya, aka Echo, betrayed him and that he lost an eye. He takes out his rage on New York. Both Spider-Man try to stop him, but are stopped by the Prowler, who at first is under Kingpin's payroll, until later on in the film, Prowler realizes that Kingpin doesn't care that he's ruining communities and killing innocent people, only about money and power. So Prowler aids them. He also doesn't know that Miles is Spider-Man. After what Peter went through, he warns Miles to never share his identity with anyone. As we can see, it had horrible consequences for him in No Way Home. Realizing that both Spider-Man will be a problem, Kingpin breaks out Scorpion, who has had many years to sit and build up his hatred for Spider-Man. Scorpion would help Kingpin in trying to kill both of them, and he would also have a really cool suit. While all that is going on, an interesting side story they can do is one where Peter is haunted by the fact that MJ doesn't remember him. Throughout the film, he would try and help her remember. At first, you'd kind of be creeped out, like, who is this guy who keeps talking to me? But then he would say something or do something that would make her remember. They would fall in love again and make us, the fans, cry. And for Miles, a side plot it would be where he struggles with him losing his father. As we know from Spider-Verse, a canon event must happen in order for the timeline to continue and not be wiped out. Unlike in Spider-Verse though, the MCU Miles didn't know his father was going to die. The Miles we see in the MCU has a chip on his shoulder to be greater, not only for his mother, but for himself. This Miles also learns that Prowler is his uncle. Devastated by this discovery, he tries his best to not blow his cover. As for both Spider-Men, I think that this is the film where Peter finally understands what it means and the cost of being Spider-Man is. Think about it. He hasn't had much time to really adjust. When he became Spider-Man, shortly after that, he went with Iron Man to fight freaking Captain America and some of the other heroes. Then after that, he went to space, met other powerful heroes, and then fought Thanos, and then he died. 5 years later, he comes back to fight Thanos yet again, but this time with the universe on the line, meeting other more powerful heroes and carrying the power of gods in his hands. And on top of that, he loses his mentor. In Far From Home, he loses another mentor with Quentin Beck. Then in No Way Home, he loses his aunt. his girlfriend, his best friend, the world because no one remembers him. In this film, he would finally understand what being Spider-Man is. Peter would then see Miles, who has quickly taken on the mantle, and be inspired by him not to give up and keep fighting for the little guy. Okay, this next prediction is crazy, but I wanted to mention it. So imagine the same plot I mentioned earlier, but an additional villain they can add would be Venom, who left a piece of his symbiote before he was sent back to the Sonyverse. But who would play Venom since in the MCU Eddie Brock doesn't exist? I think it would have to be Ned. Now, this would be perfect because Ned would be the perfect victim for the symbiote. Imagine, Ned is the nice, funny, caring guy that we see. All of a sudden, he turns to this evil person because of the power and influence the symbiote has. Ned would feel no pain in hurting Spider-Man since he doesn't know that under the mask is Peter Parker. But Peter, on the other hand, would be hurt, having to fight his best friend. But instead of Venom being killed, he escapes New York and goes someplace far away. I hope that if Marvel does decide to use him, that they just don't kill him in one movie. Venom is a really cool character both in the games and movies. We also have yet to see Tom Holland's Spider-Man be taken over by Venom. He would have the symbiote, or maybe instead going a little crazier, Miles gets the symbiote, loving the power, he becomes a little corrupt. I think this would be cool because it'd be different. Peter and Miles would fight. Eventually, Miles would find the strength and rip the suit off of himself. Then the two would destroy the piece of the symbiote. Another crazy thought I had was, what if somehow Vulture returns from the Sonyverse and joins Kingpin, also having a grudge against Spider-Man for ruining his life? Michael Keaton would come back with his cool suit for Morbius. Then Daredevil comes out of nowhere and helps Peter and Miles fight these villains. The theater would be going crazy. Now, I know I'm getting ahead of myself. It's just that there's a lot of potential now that Spider-Man is a street-level hero instead of him being a galactic hero. So how does this all play into the future of the MCU with both Spider-Man? Well, Marvel has just announced Marvel Spotlight, which is going to be focusing on street-level heroes. In their exact words, they said the following: Marvel Spotlight gives us a platform to bring more grounded character-driven stories to the screen, and in the case of Echo, focusing on street-level stakes over larger MCU continuity, end quote. Echo is the first show to join this, and like I mentioned earlier, Spider-Man is no longer a universal space-fighting hero. I think Spider-Man and Miles would fit very nicely here. I don't think it'd be far-fetched to say that towards the climax of Marvel Spotlight, all these heroes team up to fight a greater evil, either being Kingpin or someone else entirely. Heroes like Daredevil, Spider-Man, Echo, Hawkeye, maybe even Ghost Rider, maybe Moon Knight can all meet up. I'm excited for Marvel Spotlight. Let me know what you guys think down below. What heroes and villains would you like to see? As far as the future with rumors of Iron Man, Captain America returning for Secret Wars, and maybe the change of Kang to Doctor Doom, who really knows? Time will tell, of course. I know Spider-Man 4 is going to be a really good movie. It would be cool if some of the elements that I mentioned in this video actually showed up in the movie, but even if they don't, I'm still going to enjoy it and I'm still going to watch it. Let me know down below, what would your ideal Spider-Man 4 look like? Also, thank you very much for the amazing support on my channel. Thank you for the likes, the subs, and the comments. Thank you so much for it. Alright, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.